a few notes.
Have you been to this club before?
I was at the first meeting.
Do you mind like just introducing yourself for everyone that's online hasn't been able to see you?
Look towards
This is our camera.
This camera.
Yeah, we got you in 4K, so just.
My name is Adam. I'm a sophomore, and I like to invest. So I believe in value investing. So contrary to everything I heard in the first meeting, which was speculative investing and trading. So the difference between trading and investing is trading is looking solely at the number. So whatever number is currently trading for, that's what you look at. You look at candlesticks. I don't look at any candlesticks, and I've made
I've been telling them that too.
plenty of money, believe me. So first, you look at macroeconomics. Right now is possibly the worst time in history to invest. There's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of overvaluing. If you look at the average PDE ratio in America, it's like 24. So PDE ratio means that, say, company A makes $10 a year. If the stock is trading at $100, like obviously portioned off, this stock is a portion of a company, portioned off, that would have a 10 PDE ratio, right? So if it's 200, it's a 20 PDE ratio. Does that make sense? So we're at 24. So if company X is making $10, we're trading at 240 on average. Amazon's at about 100. So if that gives you some idea of how overvalued the market is right now, hopefully you can get something from it.
So I have a question. So P ratio is like the overvaluing the value of the market.
So PDE ratio is speculation of what a stock or company will be worth. So company B is making $10 now, but I think next year it's going to make $20 because they're better than their competitors. They're making more money. They're expanding the business. So you speculate. That's why Amazon is so high. Amazon's at 100. That's 1,000. If they were made $10 this year, people are valuing it at $1,000, which I think is crazy personally. But you know, there's always people like day trading that knocks up the value and all that.
Inflation.
Well, I mean,
Inflating the numbers, I mean.
so basically why we invest, I broke this down, why we invest $1 in like 1984 today would be worth a few cents. But if you put it in the market from that time to now, if you put it in the S&P 500, it'd be worth probably $20,000, single dollar. So if you put it under your mattress, you lost money.
That's
Put
how
it in
much
the
you
market.
progressed like year to like today.
Me?
No, like I'm saying like as the stock market it has progressed to that point.
Oh yeah, it's compounding growth.
Yeah. It's a fun fact.
So you want to make a portfolio based on how old you are and timing. So if I'm like 40 years old, I'm going to retire in 10 years. If I put my money in risky stuff, is there a market here I can use? So let's say this is the market. I don't know where I am. So I could make a guess. I'm 40 years old. I'm retiring in 10 years. I could invest here, and in 10 years, I'll be here. And I don't know I'm here. We could be here right now. But you don't know that because no one knows where the market's going. So if I was 19 years old like I am now, I'm not too bothered because I don't have to sell here. I don't have to retire. I don't have to buy a house. I don't have to buy a car. I don't have any dependents to support. So the point is, you want to minimize downside, especially as you get older, because you need that money. It's not just there to look at. You need the money, right? So that's why, as younger people we should take those risky investments because there's no reason not to, unless you have to save up for a car, which is why you have risky and less risky. So for me, less risky things include the REITs, which is real estate investment trust. what they do basically. So AMT is a stock I'm invested in.
What is it?
AMT.
AMT?
Also, if we could just take a step to the side so that our camera can actually see what you're.
Yeah.
Just off.
Oh, it's locked.
I got you.
What does REIT stand for again?
Real estate investment. You can look it up. It's like real estate investment trust something. So basically, REITs are like the safer investment because so this company specifically owns cell towers. So they have a deal with Verizon and with AT&T. So they rent out their cell tower services and they make money on that. That's their whole business. That's very safe, right? Compared to a semiconductor industry company like NVIDIA, who their company basically goes up and down with the crypto market because NVIDIA makes GPUs, graphics processing units, and people use those to mine Bitcoin, Ethereum. So NVIDIA effectively is as volatile as the crypto market, which we all know is very volatile. So if you're in the crypto market and you're in this volatile thing, you can't pull your money out reliably because it might be down tomorrow, down for the next 2 months, and then up. So how can you pull your money out? It's a long-term thing. REITs, on the other hand, slower growth, but you lose less. If the market's going down, the broad market might dip like that. REITs might dip here. So you could still buy a car because it didn't go down as much. You know, it's all about timing. The older you get, the more you want to have less risk, more just stable dividends. You all know what dividends are?
Yes.
So that's how I view my portfolio. I'm in a lot of risk right now. I don't gotta buy anything. I got a car, I got a house. So people put a lot of emphasis, especially her, on buying and selling. Buying and selling is where all the dopamine is, all the excitement.
Yeah.
I love to buy and sell because it's exciting, but the real money is made waiting.
And that's why when we picked a portfolio, I made us pick both sides of the spectrum. Like we can have a volatile, but we need to have a stable portfolio.
Absolutely.
Especially if you want to go volatile. It's one thing if you want to just like casually month by month trade. That's even risky within itself. But then to be day trading, you're gonna definitely need to have something stashed somewhere.
Absolutely. I think her strategy, honestly, I hope she doesn't watch her recording. It's terrible.
She definitely will, by the way.
I appreciate you, but I think your strategy is bad. She effectively, if she loses on a day trade, she puts it in her long term. Nothing is known about the company's fundamentals. To make this a decent learning experience, hopefully, I'll go over a specific company because I know examples are helpful for learning.
All right.
It's probably my favorite company. I've made $30,000 on it. I bought it in 2017 at about $30 per share.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you about how I
No
read
way.
that.
You caught that?
Oh, yeah.
That's insane.
Oh, yeah.
You're really him.
So,
Actually him. Like right before like COVID or like this transition between.
yeah, I bought it at $30 a share.
See, I know exactly what you're talking about. I was actually trading Neo and Xpeng and
That's
Tesla, like because they were all like pairs at the time. And AMD, there was a time where like I think Tesla was trying to get chips. They were trying to switch over what chips they want, and that's when AMD skyrocketed because we had actually gone with AMD for our chips. And when they landed that contract, it did a lot for like everybody on the market, honestly.
Yeah. Does this move up and down?
The projector screen?
Yeah.
It does, but I don't want to mess with it.
All right, valid. So to look at AMD, we got to look at their competitor, namely Intel. So Intel kind of sucks right now. They're still using, so the reason I knew about AMD so long ago was I was in that space. I was building computers for people in my neighborhood, making money on that. So the number one thing I had to know was about CPUs. These companies both make CPUs. But Intel, for for the last like 10 years has been on the same manufacturing process for CPUs. They didn't invest in R&D. You all know R&D, research and development. So they're stationary. They're still on that process, by the way.
Really?
They're still there, bro.
So it was all hype then at the time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm an options trader, as you know already, so
Oh, yeah.
for me, it's like the hype, and then I just assume stuff gets resolved, and then I drop it by the time it even matters.
Yeah. So basically, AMD had just released their Zen 1 CPU chips, and that was a bad chip compared to Intel's top line, but it was a budget chip. So if you're on a budget, you're buying AMD because it's better on a budget. But slowly, they've been eating up Intel's market share. You look at Intel right now, they're basically stagnant. I mean, their chart looks terrible. AMD's grown about 500% in the last couple of years. So the other competitor AMD has, this is kind of insight. If you want to buy AMD, the time is coming. I know I'm gonna buy AMD even more soon because there's this other competitor, NVIDIA, because AMD is also in the GPU market. So AMD is in CPUs, which Intel specializes in, and they're also now in GPUs, which NVIDIA specializes in. Now, why this is significant is because NVIDIA has invested too much money in appeasing the crypto miners, right? They spent too much money appeasing the crypto miners, and now the people who want to buy GPUs for their little desktop computers, they got screwed. They all bought AMD. And this pattern, I feel, is going to continue. And that's why NVIDIA is suffering right now, because now crypto's down to 10. Crypto's gone for a minute. It's a bad cycle for crypto. And so it's a bad cycle for NVIDIA. But fortunately, AMD, being the great company it is, hasn't put all their chips in one basket. So this. Also, AMD's leadership is Lisa Su. That's the CEO. I think she's great. She's been an excellent leader for basically since Zen 1, which is where AMD first picked up steam. So AMD's not a new company. It's an old company. It was not that great of a company. Lisa Su comes in, all of a sudden, they're competing with Intel. They're competing with NVIDIA. She's not going anywhere anytime soon. She's a great leader.
Okay, I want to make a comment that you said about crypto,
Sure.
because I actually invested in crypto.
Sorry to hear that.
Huh?
I'm sorry to hear that.
No, actually, I don't know if you ever heard of Richard Hart. He's actually launching like a new product. So we're waiting for that. I actually bought Ethereum. So it's not in stocks, of course. It's not like being traded on the stock exchange, but it's a separate thing. So I'm waiting for that to launch. And then I truly believe that this is a great, Ethereum is a great product. So currency. So it hasn't truly launched, but I do have inside information. I won't tell you how, but I know I'm waiting for that to open up. So I disagree with that comment.
Which one,
it
like,
depends on what you.
About
would
crypto
like.
being down?
Hmm?
My comment was about crypto being down.
Right, so.
I mean, it's down 400%.
Right, are you talking about like trading, for trading purposes?
Trading, yeah.
So I'm talking about like, okay, for crypto, when you go on the crypto.com. So I did buy Ethereum, like I said, the product that I bought hasn't fully launched yet, so I'm waiting for that. They're still getting the kinks out. So it is a cryptocurrency. Ethereum is cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I actually
So-
have some,
Okay, good.
unfortunately.
So I think it all depends on, how you buy it, and what type of product, that
Well,
you're doing, so.
If we're talking
Anyways,
about
that's what I wanted to
investing,
say.
so Ethereum is an asset. It's something you can buy on the market, but I don't see it as investing. I think it's gambling personally, because there's no company. There's no, I mean, it is an investment, but it's not investing, because investing is seeing value somewhere, but there's no value besides the bigger idiot rule. So all these cryptos rely on someone
Well, I disagree with that.
being the bigger idiot to buy it for more than you did.
When I become the millionaire, we'll talk about that,
All right.
okay?
Can I just make a comment?
Uh-huh.
Technically crypto is just an idea, and that the government sanctioned as an asset, like he's saying, just so they could tax it. That's it, because up until the time where the general person like you was making money off of crypto, it was okay for everyone to just trade it, and there was no taxes on it, there was no regulations on it. Only when it became more available through these third-party platforms that are bringing the dark web to your phone, then all of a sudden it has to be an asset and an investment. Up to that point, you couldn't take your crypto, like your crypto statements to like a car dealership
Right,
and
it's
get,
different.
okay, but you can now, only because they want to be able to tax you and know what you're
Yeah.
doing with it.
Right,
So that's, like he said, there's no company, those are all just ideas, like Dogecoin should really just prove to you that an idea that you just come up with in your head can just be worth anything. So that's why you should never doubt yourself at all, because these are people who are coming up with jokes, literal jokes, releasing it on the internet, and now they're like trillionaires, billionaires above some of the other people who have worked their entire lives to get to that point. So if any dream can come true, crypto is fake, respectfully, and it's not an asset at all.
So honestly, I can't be a
well, I
hater.
still disagree.
To anyone who's
I mean, I
like
trade crypto
become
as
a
well.
millionaire over crypto,
Yeah, it's
good for you,
good
bro.
for
Like,
you, but
Yes,
it's
I mean,
honestly,
you have, you heard of tax
more power
and
to
things
you.
like that.
there's
but-
never gonna be a point where you can hold your stocks. I can go get my, I
Right,
can
it's
go
different
print
in
out a
stocks,
copy of my,
yes.
okay, because that's an actual asset.
Yes,
I can prove that I own
Right.
that. It's to my name. If I die, it will go pass on to my other family members, to my kid, whoever it may be. But crypto is not the same. Like, if I have a crypto wallet on my flash drive,
Mhm.
there's no way for my son to get into that without knowing the password, and it's just gone
Right.
forever because it's an idea. It's just data on a flash drive. It's just like they just only sanction it just so they can look through your records and tax you respectfully.
Yeah, so going back to that bigger idiot policy, it goes for stocks too, by the way. So for those stocks with PDE ratios of even 50, 60, 100, 200, by the way, Mercado Libre is basically the Amazon of South America. It was at 200 last week. It just tanked. Of course it tanked because people are saying that a $10 per year earnings is worth $2,000. Does that make sense? It's the bigger idiot policy. I buy it here, and I'm hoping that someone else is dumber than me to buy it here. And they're hoping that someone is dumber than them to buy it here. That's all it is. And that's speculation in stocks, but stocks are still based on something. In crypto, from what I feel, that's all crypto is.
Yeah.
That's the only value in
That is
crypto.
personal opinion for both of us, like that's just personal.
yeah, that's
opinion.
your, of course.
Yeah.
And, you know, anything is a gamble.
Seriously.
Anything's a gamble. I mean, you were in this, you know, you traded, you made a lot of money, then all of a sudden you lost it. So, I mean, nothing is really guaranteed. But anyway, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so back to AMD, I guess. Look, so politics has something to do with money. We all know this. Money and politics are basically the same thing at this point. So in November, we have the midterm elections, and this is extremely relevant for the markets. You should all keep your eyes peeled for some good deals on the market, including AMD. It's not done going down. There's a lot more damage to be had in the semiconductor industry, which is AMD, by the way. I wouldn't be surprised if it went to 40. It's at 60 right now, 68 from today's. Okay, today is a funny day because the markets went up a great deal today, 3.5% on the S&P 500. Why? Because there's no bad news for another week. Is there good news? What could have caused like 3.5%? There must be some good news, right? No, there's just no bad news for another week. So in a week, the CPI report, which is inflation, comes out, consumer price index. And when that shows bad news, people are counting on Fed pivot. So the Fed is our central bank. You guys know this, right? The central bank of our country, they can pull money out of their ass and it's now real, right? That's how inflation happens. So they control our monetary policy, interest rates, quantitative easing and tightening. You guys know what that is?
No.
So quantitative tightening is what's happening now. And they say for the next 2 years, this is important, by the way. So for the next 2 years, the Federal Reserve Bank of America has said that it is taking money out of circulation. So they say about $2 trillion per year. They realized during COVID, they messed up and they realized
all the
it
money that they gave
too
us.
late. Yeah, They were
It's literally all the money videos.
They were pulling money out, stimulus check. They were just, you guys remember these random spending bills?
Yeah.
I swear every month it was a new spending bill. This money comes from somewhere. So they realized, oh crap, we printed too much money and now we're paying the price. So for the next year or
I
two,
agree with that.
we got quantitative tightening. And quantitative tightening, we all know, you don't fight the Fed, it's gonna kill the markets. The markets are gonna die as long as the Fed's doing this quantitative tightening. Just as, by the way, it goes up for quantitative easing. So the flip side of that is printing money, quantitative easing. So whenever the Fed does this, like during COVID, we had extremely high unemployment. We had basically economic stagnation. Everyone's staying at home, no one's being productive. We got fake demand. So when you give people money, that's fake demand. They're gonna buy things and the supply can't keep up, which is why we have a supply-based recession right now. We got huge logistical issues because of this fake demand that they created, supply demand. Anyways, I went off on a tangent. You're probably confused, I'm sorry.
No,
You're
that
good.
makes sense.
You're very good at articulating and explaining it.
Thank you. So we hit that bottom for COVID, or we were going up kind of steady. We hit the bottom for COVID. And then ever since, y'all saw that graph?
Yeah.
We all seeing the same market?
Mhm.
Went up because of how much money they printed, absurd. Now taking it out. So that's what we have to know about macroeconomics right now. And they're gonna continue taking it out. It's gonna kill the market because you don't fight the Fed. Simple as that. Don't fight
But
the
you
Fed.
say that this is a good opportunity for us though, given that we know what we know.
Exactly.
And that gives us
Precisely,
time
yeah.
to plan and make an assumption as to where the market could end up whenever we start to print money again.
So here's COVID. It looks something like that. Here's like Q1 this year, Q1. And then we had what's called a dead cat bounce. You guys know what that is?
No.
Dead cat bounce has happened during every recession. You know what 1929 looked like? 1929 looked like, so here's everything going up. It looked like this. So right here is a really critical point.
That's exit.
That's a dead cat bounce. Can you all see that? People get a lot of optimism. They think, oh, we have a stage of euphoria here. You know, we go through stages of euphoria to hopelessness in the markets. So we go through stages of too much optimism and too much pessimism. That's all it is. There's no in between really. So people are euphoric here. And then it hits the bottom here, goes up, and everyone thinks, oh, we're back in business, right? It's a dead cat bounce or a fool's rally. There's a lot of names, fool's rally, because it's only fools. And then, oh, shit. There's my money for the next 20 years, because it didn't come back for 20 years, by the way. This is kind of where we were Q1. So we had this rally. Y'all remember that? Everything was going back up. Everyone's hopeful. Now we're down again. Up a little bit. Last couple of days, I don't know why.
Yeah.
No bad news. As soon as next week comes and the bad news comes around, guess what? We're going back down. So this is a brilliant once in a lifetime opportunity for us.
For us. And to that, the graph that you just gave us right here on the left of our ages and our potential growth, and then us coming here as a club and sharing these
Yeah.
ideas
We're going back.
that you're giving to educate each other. There's things that you know that I don't, things that I know that you don't. And if we're only gonna become a better investor after meeting up and doing these things, and we definitely are gonna be on top, because that graph looks the same across a lot of markets, as he was trying to explain to us. The real estate market looks like that.
In certain areas.
In certain areas, you're
So
right, there
real
are
estate
certain
is-
areas that are booming at this time, but if I personally feel like, if you look at the general chart of like the United States, big, it's looking like that. Texas
Yeah.
is obviously, Texas is Texas, like, I feel like the world can
Houston
end in
is
Texas.
overvalued.
That's what I'm saying, but it'll still boom.
That's
The
just
world can be
overvalued.
ending, like, it's just Texas. Or like New York City, and that's very niche versus like the entire general
Yeah,
United States.
so now is a great time to not buy real estate.
Yeah, well,
You're gonna
it's
wanna wait a
a
couple
good time to
months.
plan, is what I'm saying. We were in college for 4 years, we're all going for degrees.
Okay, so as a person that is involved in real estate, because we are in a recession, it's a good time for investors, because a lot of people may not be buying homes at the time because the interest rates are going. So as an investor, when you buy property, you would have, like they say, more renters, you know, so it all depends
Well,
on
the
how you
conditions are bad for
strategize.
everyone,
Hmm?
investor and not. So there was a chart, honestly, I couldn't remember it, so this is a bad statistic technically, but it said 97% of real estate in the country is overvalued. That's pretty bad, I mean, 97%. So I would wait till that drops personally. I'm actually really interested in buying some real estate. I have money set aside.
Okay, because I'm actually
I got some
involved in
financing.
investment club, so there's different ways and strategies that you can buy real estate. So anyway, what I'm saying is that in this period, just like when you're buying stocks, you can also take advantage in that, in the real estate market as well. You know, there's different ways of doing, you know, of strategizing.
Yeah, and that actually goes back to REITs.
Mhm,
REITs, that is real estate.
mhm,
That is a real estate investment. That's not really a stock, it's real estate.
mhm.
So
So you can still take.
I know I'm buying REITs. I'm buying AMT. I'm gonna wait a minute actually. Because it's gonna go down more from what I think. It's gonna go down more, I'll buy it.
So out of all the public like investor groups that are available for you to own the market, why do you say that REITs is the one that's gonna benefit the most?
So REITs is a sector. And it's not gonna benefit the most. The one that gets hit the hardest is gonna benefit the most, which
Okay.
circles back to AMD. Semiconductors are getting hit worse than anybody. You can find the number, sorry.
So this chart represents AMD, the quarter 1, or is that just an?
No, that's broad market. So AMD, it's down like 40%
Honestly,
in the last
do
6
you think
months.
you'd be able to like, quickly pull it up on a laptop so that everyone can see it?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're free to use it. But they can see whatever you type in, by the way, so. Yeah. That's great.
All
Yeah,
right.
you gotta
so-
always check.
All right, so AMD is having a bad year, as we can see here. They were at a peak of 155. I actually sold a lot of my shares that I bought 5 years ago, about 5 years ago. I sold it about here, 130 in that area. And so that's more money I can put in the dip, which I'm happy about. So if I buy it at anything under 120, I'm making money on that. Anyways, AMD's having a bad year, and the one thing we learned from the pandemic is the industries that get hit the hardest see the most growth afterwards when conditions improve. So casino business was looking really bad during the pandemic. That's improved greatly. You always just gotta look for the opportunities. And as people get more poor, because what we know about inflation is it makes the rich richer and the poor poorer, less people are buying things like AMD. So until inflation's under control, it's gonna be hard for people to buy products from this company. So I predict that this will go down even 40. And at that point, I would put my life savings.
That's a green light, that's buy.
That's green light right there, bro.
You feel like that's flat bottom?
Yeah,
Do you have like, what platform do you use?
I use Fidelity.
Oh, yeah.
Could you show like, I mean, probably even after this meeting, I just wanna like see like what your charts look like. You use like the, like financial statements, obviously. and then
Okay,
you-
so I use
like
Fidelity
level
for my stuff, but when I was a kid, I had to have a joint account with my dad.
I was gonna ask you about that.
So-
You said 5 years ago.
Exactly,
I
so,
was
yeah,
like, without self-incriminating,
so
how
my
are you
dad is,
trading?
my dad's a businessman. Everything, most of what I learned is from him.
Or,
So he's a lifelong investor. He's been through the hard times. We've not. So, by the way, we haven't seen anything. We've only seen all of the up because we're born like, how old's the oldest person here?
oh, man, oh, actually.
All right, well, until now, all we've seen is euphoria. We've been in a euphoric stage ever since like we've looked at the markets. No one is 10 years old looking at the markets, right? So we've only seen euphoria. My dad's seen 87. He's seen the dot-com bubble, 2000. He's seen 2008, the Great Recession, by the way. It's called the Great Recession.
That's crazy.
So what he preaches is safety to me.
And also, we had to read about it.
Hmm?
Like all the stuff that we have to read about.
Yeah, so history is the greatest teacher, but everyone forgets it as soon as a euphoric time comes around. So if 2 years ago, I told you the market was going up for the next 5 years, a lot of you might believe it. Because the market up to that point, we didn't see any of this. This is all we saw. This is our whole life right here. Stop. So that's why we have to be smart and make safe things too. Like my dad's stock Duke. He's had Duke Energy for like the past 40 years. It hasn't gone up much, but he had to buy a house and he sold some Duke because he could. So if hard times come for you, because hard times come for everyone, right? Here's something like AMD. AMD's volatile. Random graph. Here's something like Duke, ExxonMobil. Yeah, I think it's not this straight, but if I got to buy a house right here, if all I had was AMD, I'm getting screwed because now I'm losing money. Maybe I bought it like down here. Well, maybe I bought it here. I'm losing money. If I bought Duke here, it's safe. It might have even been flat. It might have grown 0%. And I got like a 4% dividend because it's an energy stock.
Okay.
It doesn't matter if you're not making money. Sometimes you just gotta not lose money. And that's safety too. So as you're jumping the gun when the whole market crashes to buy all these stocks like AMD, POD, PODD, that's an insulin stock. That's another stock I like if you want to write that down.
I remember.
Little tip for you. I got a whole list actually.
Yeah.
Please share it.
Go ahead,
Whatever
take
you're
some
willing to
notes.
share
Oh.
in the Discord.
Here's my other winner. So it was AMD. I bought AMD, Johnson Johnson, Apple, Qualcomm. Right now, Qualcomm is looking very good. The PDE ratio is 10, which compared to all these other things, is pretty fire. They're at the front of the 5G market. In the last 5 years, they've had 134% growth, very respectable. And right now they're rocking a 2.5% dividend. So Qualcomm is a great value stock right now.
What is it called?
How do you spell that?
The ticker is like QCOM.
I think it's 2
QCOM.
ounces, isn't it?
And what type of stock is that?
So they make chips like 5G chips. So I think
They have some towers as well.
Snapdragon, they also make, I have a Qualcomm chip in this phone, and so do all of you, it's called Snapdragon. They make phone CPUs too.
Qualcomm.
I bet you didn't know that. So
No.
everyone here has a Qualcomm product, right?
In some way, shape, or form, we didn't know it.
Qualcomm.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So that's a great company that you might not know about, but it's really making a difference
there's
here.
definitely at least one piece of your phone is guaranteed to be from.
Are these stocks like $60, like,
Qualcomm is
yeah?
120 right now.
It's saying 121.96.
AMD right now is 67.
You have AMD behind you. Go, bro.
All right.
121.96 for Qualcomm.
Yeah, here's another one that's safe. This is one that I have that is a safe stock. My dad has Duke Energy. I got Flower Foods.
Never heard of that.
So Flower Foods, it's probably the biggest bakery in the country. They make like Let me see. You know, Tasty Cakes, they make
Yeah.
Tasty Cakes, they make a bunch of different bread products. Like you go in a gas station, all that stuff is probably owned by like 5 total companies.
Yeah.
You don't really have a
Like
choice.
when you're watching TV and like you're trying to pick a network and they're all just different sides of the same building.
So that's FLO, flow.
Yeah, Flow.
Oh, that's flour, FLO. I
Yeah.
have heard of the ticker, but I didn't know what they were, what they did.
Yeah, that's all bakery stuff. They have like the most efficient mass bakeries in the country.
Wow,
They make loaves of bread.
I'm gonna look into that.
So Adam, do you think your strategy, like way of looking at the market is like similar to like Warren Buffett?
Actually, exactly like Warren Buffett.
That's exactly like, I was like thinking about that, I was like,
Yeah.
Warren Buffett, like.
So a book I could recommend is The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham, who was actually Warren Buffett's teacher. He
Okay.
was the original value investor. And if you have any doubts about value investing versus this day trading, I mean, I leave all these candles and short-term things, the buying and the selling, I leave it to the day traders,
Mhm.
because the amount of billionaire day traders versus the billionaire value
Very, very
investors.
slim. And even when it is, it's very short-lived, even then. Because it's easy when you're a day trader to get that gambling mindset, especially like those like, excuse my French, but fuck it trades. It's literally what we call them. It's like when we get those fuck it
That's
trades.
right.
And then
That
like,
works.
I'm just saying, well, it's literally what it's called. And if you get into the investment group, that's what they're gonna sell you.
All
I'm just
right,
being honest.
I will confess, I still like this company, by the way. Over the summer, I did a little F trade,
Yeah,
Velo 3D, VELO 3D, I think the ticker is VLD. I like this company. What they do is they're like one of the only companies that 3D prints metal
huh,
without supports.
what? Like, what do you mean? Like,
So guess who the first customer was for
Elon
Velo
Musk.
3D,
Elon
this little
Musk.
startup?
Elon Musk.
Yeah,
I know,
SpaceX.
SpaceX, Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Because
they
I seen it.
sell,
That's why I'm so
SpaceX.
confused, because like that's SpaceX technology that you're talking about, but you're saying they're the first.
Oh,
I'm like, what do you mean?
sorry, on my ice cream. No.
Yeah, it's the perfect time to eat it.
So
Damn,
Velo
bro,
3D.
he's really him, eating ice cream during a presentation, that's crazy.
I can't let it.
Hey, he's
Soup.
like trying to engage, he's like, oh, you like this ice cream too? He's like trying to make commonalities, like.
Trying, man. You gotta soothe my voice too.
Yeah, yeah, you got a cough there. You
So,
said,
no, I was sick, I'm just coughing at this point. But, Velo 3D, one of a kind company, I sold it, I was up $1,000.
yeah,
So-
why did you sell it? Cause you were like,
Because then it
oh,
went
I
down. So
got
it was during that dead cat bounce,
Uh,
and I was in it, and I knew it was a dead cat bounce.
See? See, it's those, and then when you're a day trader, it's like, okay, like, I wanna go out with my friends today. Even though I know the market is clearly red, I'm just gonna try some puts here, cause I wanna like, you know what I'm saying? And then boom, now you're even lower than what you were when you opened, so now it's like, oh snap, I gotta fix that now. Boom, then you're lower again, and it's just a cycle that a lot of people get into.
So Adam,
Yeah.
how often do you check like your your news websites or like stocks, like, cause like for day traders, they would check it every morning, but for you, you're a swing trader, so basically long term, right?
Well, swing is like
Or like, what would
a
it be
couple
called?
years.
Oh, swing,
I'm
okay.
looking at like, the real
5,
money
10
for
years.
me is 10 years, 20 years.
Oh wow, I need to talk to you.
Okay, 10 and 20 years.
I'm in it for the long run.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
Stay away from
plan
mine.
to sell
He's
anytime soon.
mine.
No, I don't know about that.
It's not.
The other thing that will kill you in day trading is the stress.
Mhm.
So
It's physical too.
I had my little phase of day trading. You're like an addict at some point.
I told you, you get the gambling, it's just addiction.
Addiction,
You
yeah.
got the app on the front page of your phone.
So this guy.
Every 10 minutes you're
You can't even focus on what
you're
you're
at
doing.
your job, you have your job, you're trying to work. You're like,
Yo, that's literally what I literally told the club. I literally told the club when I lost on Tesla, it's because I was at work and my boss would not let me get on my phone.
Yeah.
So day trading will interfere with your life. I'm
Yeah.
telling you,
Social life,
So-
personal life, relationships, everything.
Wow.
you'll be stressing all day,
Yeah.
every day. I don't care if you make $1,000,
Yeah,
you're stressing that day.
I'm not
So
even,
unless you're the most peaceful, down-to-earth person, it's gonna put a weight on your mind. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta be some kind of Chinese monk if you wanna day trade without losing your mind, seriously.
I did talk to Daisy about this because she said initially in the beginning, because I'm like, I can't be looking at, I mean, if I want to day trade, I can't be looking at this phone all day long.
it's impossible.
But she said you can put in like, well.
Automated
anyway,
trades, but that's not the same.
What is
Because there's
it?
a lot of times where like,
What type
because
of
the
trade?
automated trade is just like,
Oh,
so, okay, down the floor, do you mind if I stand up? Okay,
wait,
just like,
wait, you
I
can let me finish?
know, I know, but you're
Is it the
saying.
line and, okay,
the-
okay,
the
I wanted
auto-
to go
I'm
a
gonna
certain amount, okay, drop out, is that what you mean? by the
Yeah, like
automated?
automated trade, so even like hypothetically, let's say this is just one day, I know this is
Yeah.
a year, it's just like shorten this, like this is
Yeah.
a day, right? So I could be like right here, right? And I tell my automated trade to sell it when it
Right.
gets to 68,
Yeah,
and then it's doing this, and I'm not looking at my phone,
right.
so it did this all day,
Mhm.
and like I'm like, oh wow, we're doing good, and I put my phone back in my pocket.
Yeah.
Now we're coming back down here, let's hypothetically, it comes down here to the 67.93 it would take to trigger my trade and for it to go through. Because it takes, it's autonomous, but like instantaneous.
Yeah,
So whenever it goes through, now it's here, and you see how it's clearly going back up. If
yeah,
I was looking at my chart, I would have been looking at my RSI, looking at my buy sell charts, the level 3 trading data to know, okay, well, there's a chance that it might go back up, so I don't really want to pull out there. And I would have made that decision myself, but the autonomous sale cannot do that.
Yeah,
They
that's
do make
important.
software for that,
Mhm.
but what Daisy's talking about, I'm highly scared of, like, that's just for like extreme feel safe. Like I wouldn't even put it that high. I would put it like 50, like in case of like I'm like not there, like 50% of my investment is gone now. And then that's when the autonomous comes in. It's like, yo, bro, I don't know if you saw this. But like, yeah, like you gotta be really careful with that because then you miss out on opportunities. And then to try to jump back in from 50 after you lost, so you sold it because of the alternative sale. Now you have to get back in as it's going back up. So now there's a gap between your profits. And then you get back in, let's say you only have 3 day trades because you just started. Now you're on your second day trade because you're gonna sell again because it's gonna go back down. It's one of those things that
I
is
know,
just,
but I mean, there has to be some way to.
are you finished with your presentation by chance?
All right, I had a few more
Sorry.
things to say.
Okay,
Um,
you can even cover mine if you want.
so another piece of knowledge I'll drop. Listen carefully. If it's good enough to screenshot, it's good enough to sell. Yeah, do you hear that?
My bad,
If
bro.
it's good enough to screenshot, it's good enough to sell.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer of that as
That's
well.
that.
What does that mean?
So like, I literally have screenshots on my phone of like it's called unrealized gains, meaning, so the stock is going up, like I'm up like $10,000, and me and my friends are like, we're all doing copy trades, so we're all like, oh, we're lit, you take a screenshot and you post it on your story, but it's unrealized gain. So what he's saying is, at that point of peak euphoria that we had, we should instantly sell, because even times where, by the time I spent screenshotting it,
Yeah,
going to my social media and then posting it, and then waiting for someone's reaction, and then going back
yeah,
after I got my confirmation from everyone else, going back to my app, and now it's went from 10 to 8, or 7.5, 6. Oh, it's gonna go back up, 4, 2. Oh, no, it's just today. It's gonna open up higher tomorrow. -100, -3. No, I'm so serious. It literally happens. You go from being on top of the
Yep.
world to literally bottom of the barrel off of one trade.
Every single time, if it's good enough to screenshot, if it's worthy of a screenshot, you best find that sell button, just
I learned that lesson the hard way. a couple
So you
times.
think inflation has something to do with how the markets are gonna act? So like if its inflation rate goes up, then the markets and the stock market goes down?
So inflation has everything to do with consumers. Consumers are the poor people, us plebeians.
Daisy.
Yeah.
So when inflation occurs, what happens for rich people, they own assets, they own factories and buildings and machines, everything. When inflation occurs, the value of all that stuff goes up with inflation, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense to
Yeah,
everyone?
I'm following you.
But we just have dollars. We don't really have assets because we're poor, right? We're college students.
Assumption.
We have dollars. The value of that goes down instantly. So now we have to buy their assets, which their value has gone up with our devalued dollar. So how that affects the market is discretionary purchases go down. So if you got this new leaf blower, this new advanced leaf blower, it's got like instead of one, it's got three.
Oh, wow.
My God, you're
Yeah.
blowing leaves at 3 times the rate.
Yeah.
If there's inflation and I'm paying like double for my eggs, double for my milk, like I am right now, sadly. Chicken is like more than double. Very sad about that. I'm putting my money there. I'm not buying my new revolutionary leaf blower. So this company's gonna go out of business. And Flower Foods, who makes my bread. Eggland's Best, who makes my eggs.
Do you buy those products?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, they're like Procter and Gamble, I have that too. If I see a Procter and Gamble product, I'll buy it. Like Dawn, by the way,
Yeah.
Dawn, Old Spice, the deodorant,
Mhm.
Yes.
Procter and Gamble, multiple soap brands like Olay, you know, Olay,
Yeah.
Procter and Gamble. Yeah, people, these are only like 5 brands that fill a whole store. You don't really have a choice to.
Yeah, right.
So,
S-corps.
yeah, that's how it affects consumers. That's why Procter and Gamble is the longest lasting company, because when I'm not buying these crazy, stupid innovations that will help me blow my leaves faster, I'm buying soap, I'm buying food, and these companies are going nowhere. So that's how it affects the market. I would put my money there, have my money there on my other account, so the one my dad has. The reason I keep my dad doing it, because I had to, when I got in the market when I was a kid, I had to do it through my dad. He helped me do that. But it's useful because it's not accessible to me. So I don't feel the psychology of it. I don't feel stressed. I'm not panic selling. So if you can find a way to distance yourself from your investments, you'll have a much more peaceful time
I know.
with your day. I got somewhere to be. If y'all have any questions,
Good job, Adam.
I'm happy to
That's
answer.
really good.